Vous allez devoir la peindre sans qu'elle le sache. Elle pense que vous êtes une compagne de promenade pour quelques jours.
We're always talking about going into Manhattan for a special weekend. This is going to be absolutely fantastic.
The Earth puts hopes in him. And now it's fate. It's on me.
Thanks for joining us for our weekly film show. We're starting with an out-of-this-world experience with Brad Pitt. He stars as an astronaut searching for his missing father in James Gray's latest film, Ad Astra. Camille Nedelec reports.
Roy Bride is one of NASA's best astronauts who's given an unusual mission.
We have some highly classified information.
What can you tell us about the Lima project?
Its objective was to search for advanced extraterrestrial life. The ship disappeared approximately 16 years into the mission.
And the commander was?
He was my father, sir.
Roy goes on an interplanetary odyssey to find his father and save the world. First up, the Moon, followed by Mars, then Saturn. As we journey to the ends of the solar system with him, we also take a deep dive into the astronaut's psyche and his isolation.
There's probably some planet which is very Earth-like out there, but that's not realistic. This is what we've got. We are whom we have for each other. Let's figure it out. Let's make it work. So that's what I thought really was at the core of the movie.
Ad Astra is set in a not-so-distant future that isn't beyond the realm of possibility. The Moon has been colonized, complete with violent rebel groups. And the psychological challenges of being an astronaut are anchored in reality.
The relationship between the astronaut's family and this quest to find extraterrestrial life, and the visuals of astronomy with takeoffs and trips into space, the risk, it's realistic.
I worry about you. I love you.
Please begin your psychological evaluation.
Either we are not alone in the universe, meaning aliens, or we are completely and utterly alone. And either outcome is equally terrifying. That was a really interesting concept.
Brad Pitt excels as the solitary hero, heavy with the knowledge that he could be on a one-way trip.
And we're joined in the studio by our film critic, Lisa Nesselson. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Eve.
Now, was Ad Astra an out-of-this-world experience for you?
Well, I liked it. I am a little surprised by how incredibly positive the reviews have been in the English-speaking world, because it's the kind of movie that's just as easy to make fun of as it is to praise to the skies. I think Pitt's performance, he also produced, he and the director have been friends since 1990, is what gives the premise gravity, so to speak. Astronaut Roy McBride has tamped down his feelings to an absolutely ridiculous degree, which means we see his wife walk out on him early on. His pulse is low. He never gets flustered. Many American movies are about the importance of work, how crucial it is to work for a living, and how you should do what the boss says, except when you're an anti-hero who doesn't do what anybody says. Roy navigates literally both inner and outer space. He believed his father was dead. The government tells him his dad is out there somewhere and may have gone rogue in a way that threatens not only Earth, but the whole solar system. I hate when that happens. I like the clipped military language, the need to know doling out of information, and the fact that he goes to the edge of the universe. There's no souvenir stand there, but there is something worth discovering. See this on the biggest screen you can find. They shot it on film.
OK, that's Ad Astra. Well, let's move on now to Woody Allen's new film, A Rainy Day in New York, is out in France this week. It won't be released in his home country, the United States, because the producer Amazon Studios says comments Allen made about the Me Too movement put them at a commercial disadvantage. Now, tell us more, Lisa.
Well, Allen is suing Amazon Studios for $68 million for breach of contract. France has always been a big champion of his work, and this is actually getting the same size release as films like The Lion King and Fast and Furious. It was the opening film, this very entertaining comedy, of the 45th Deauville Festival of American Film here in France. It got a very warm reception. Allen finished shooting his 49th film just a few weeks ago, set in San Sebastian, Spain, with a terrific cast, including Gina Gershon and Christoph Waltz. So the answer to the question, will he ever work again, is, well, yeah, you bet he already has. And the French reviews of Rainy Day are overwhelming. overwhelmingly positive across the whole political spectrum.
OK, well, France 24's Vincent Roux asked Woody Allen whether he regrets having said that he should be the poster boy for Me Too. And here's his response.
I've worked with hundreds of actresses. Not one of them has ever complained about me, not a single complaint. I've worked with employed women in the top capacities, in every capacity. For years, we've always paid them exactly the equal of men. I've done everything that, that the Me Too movement would love to achieve with everybody.
Well, let's talk about the film.
Okay.
What's it about?
Gladly. Elle Fanning as Ashley and Timothy Chalamet as Gatsby are planning to leave the upstate New York college they both attend for a romantic weekend in Manhattan. Now, she's from the Midwest. He grew up in the big city, and he cannot wait to share with her all the sort of retro spots that he loves. She's a bubbly, madcap ingenue out of an old-fashioned screwball comedy, but because she's wonderfully played by Fanning, she's also a self-possessed contemporary young woman, an aspiring journalist. Gatsby is given to brooding introspection, probably because he can't figure out why his parents saddled him with a name like Gatsby Wells. Ashley has an interview lined up with a famous film director, Roland Pollard. Liev Schreiber is really very funny in this role, who gives her a scoop about his latest film. She cancels the romantic luncheon that Gatsby had lined up in order to get more background information from Pollard's screenwriter, played by Jude Law. And the day, with and without rain, finds Ashley and Gatsby having separate adventures instead of being together in a whirl of unlikely but very funny circumstances that comment on romance, ambition, social climbing, and the snowball effect of gotcha celebrity journalism.
OK, well, let's take a look.
I can't make lunch.
What? Why not?
I have to see his film.
You do?
Oh, it's an unbelievable opportunity. And then we're going to discuss it after everything.
How did this develop? I thought you just had an hour with him.
So did I. But then he started opening up to me.
He did?
He's going through this real artistic crisis. There's a real story here.
Well, we have a lunch reservation.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want me to have to say no to the screening. I mean, I'm here for work. We'll have plenty of time.
Certainly seems to be a very typical Woody Allen comedy.
Indeed, and that's because it is very much in the style that Woody Allen, now 83, pretty much invented. It's a wisecracking comedy, awash in nostalgia for a certain kind of American music, for an idealized Manhattan that positively glows thanks to the splendid cinematography by Vittorio Storaro. Now, there are people out there saying, well, New York doesn't look like that, and that's true. But most men don't look like Cary Grant or the young Brad Pitt, and most women don't look like Ingrid Bergman, Audrey Hepburn, or Marilyn Monroe. So if your taste runs to poorly lit, unattractive people doing realistic stuff, then you probably won't like this movie.
Well, some people believe that the age differences between the characters in Allen's films are objectionable, especially following allegations from his adopted daughter, Dylan Farrow, that Woody Allen molested her when she was a child. I'll add that he was investigated about this and at the time and never charged with a crime.
Mm-hmm. And Allen has written magnificent roles over and over for middle-aged women. Jana Rollins, Téa Leoni, Angelica Houston, Cate Blanchett, Mia Farrow, the list goes on and on. Here he's written two terrific roles for young actresses. Fanny and Selena Gomez is very, very good, and a magnificent monologue for 62-year-old Cherry Jones. In the current climate, it's unlikely that the film will ever be shown in theaters in the U.S., so now is a good time to visit France if you want to see it.
Again, actually, France has a better record than any other country for films directed by women, around a quarter of movies every single year. One of the most talented French female directors, Céline Sciamma, has a ravishing new film out this week, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, where it won the Queer Palm and Best Screenplay. Tell us more, Lisa.
Well, Céline Sciamma is definitely a name to know, because I suspect she'll have stories to tell on screen for a very, very long time unless global warming melts all the film equipment. There was no film, which means no photography, in the late 1770s when her dazzling lesbian romance is set. Oil portraits could help fill that gap for a potential suitor or for the family after a girl left. Marianne comes to a well-to-do household in Brittany to paint a portrait of a young noblewoman named Eloise before she is married. She's ambivalent about marrying a man over in Italy that she's never met, and she refuses to pose for the portrait, which forces the artist to study her subject in other ways. Sciamma's original screenplay offers a surprising romance following a template she says was actually based on the film Titanic. We know that a love was lost. We go back and we revisit that love, and then in the present of the film, we realize that lost love is the very thing that makes life tick.
And Sciamma is really a good example of how women tell stories differently to men, isn't she?
You could say that. She gives us an uncommon take on the nature of menstruation centuries ago. But I think what I found most interesting is that there's a maid in the household who is pregnant, absolutely does not wish to continue being pregnant and having a baby. And the techniques the women employ to terminate the pregnancy are eye-opening. Uncredited, Sciamma helps with the costumes on all of her films. And here she gave female characters pockets in their clothing. Now, women were allowed to have pockets, and then this luxury was taken away because, wenches that we are, someone decided we might hide things in the pockets. So details like that show subtly when it comes to the lives of women, what we think is settled can still be taken away. The woman getting married is played by Adele Haenel, who co-starred in Sciamma's first film, Water Lilies, which is a standout portrait of blossoming lesbian desire. Sciamma made the commercially successful Tomboy and Girlhood, neither of which I particularly liked, but she helped with the screenplay to the glorious stop-action animated film, My Life as a Courgette.
Okay, Lisa, thank you very much. Now we're going to leave you with the beautiful film Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Vous êtes embarrassé, vous mordez vos lèvres. Vraiment. Quand vous êtes troublé, vous respirez par la bouche. Combien de temps restez-vous? Je ne sais pas.